Well, hello to you. It's Picken, CEO and founder of Migrate, and it's time for the weekly Wealth Insight. Wow, these weeks are flying by as we're in lockdown. So I was on a meeting yesterday with a very, very wealthy gentleman based out of London who has businesses all over Europe, the UK, and Africa. And it was so interesting talking to him. He was in his early 50s, and he said something to me that blew me away, and I hadn't heard it before. And he said, I made 10, 20, 70. So I was like, okay. Now you must understand that, this guy plays in hundreds of millions of dollars. And I said, I hadn't heard that. What is a 10, 20, 70? And he said, well, my success and the businesses that we built are 10% based on the education that I've had. 20% are based on the incredible people that I've worked with, where I've paid for people much cleverer than me to come in and advise me on what I should or shouldn't do. And, you know, they always say you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And often, you know, many people, including Rich Branson, say it's much better to have cleverer people that are part of your team. And 70% is just from getting on and doing it and learning while we go. And I found that absolutely fascinating because so many people in life have excuses. You know, I remember when I started my first business and all my accountants and my MBA friends told me my business idea was terrible. And to be honest, they were right. Like the things that they came up with, you know, were right. You know, at the end of the day, I built a business where my costs were in pounds, my income was in rands, and I got paid 2 years later. Except they were right. It was a terrible business model. But I'm so grateful I got started. You know, many of them to this day are in their 40s and they're still sitting in their corporate jobs trying to figure out that next big idea. You know, when is the Microsoft moment coming, or the Apple moment, or the Uber moment? And it just doesn't come because you've got to get started. And I thought it was really interesting because if I put up this picture, and I just want to get it up here on the screen, basically, it says, Dear pessimist, optimist, and realist, while you guys argued whether the glass is full or empty, I sold the glass. Sincerely, entrepreneurist. And I just thought this t-shirt was wonderful because it sums it up so perfectly of what this gentleman was saying. And so there you had a guy in his 50s, you know, he was talking to us about $100 million investment through our platform. And he talked about the 10, 20, 70 principle. And so my question to you, as we're in the middle of lockdown and we can all give ourselves 1,000 excuses on why not to do something, how much of your success and how much of your life is based on 10, 20, or 70? Interesting concept, isn't it? And my final comment is that you've heard me say this for many years, actually. The 20th century was learning and then doing. So you'd go to school, you'd go to university, you might even become an apprentice and then actually go and do. Whereas now it's learning while doing. The world is changing too fast. You cannot learn everything and then go and do it. You have to learn it on the fly because things are changing so quickly. A classic example was last night. We had an incredible webinar for our inner circle. I highly recommend you join our inner circle and learn from great minds around the world and learn while growing. And, you know, it was talking about the currency and how if you're exposed in dollars, you really need to get into euros or pounds. And, you know, for me, it's a classic example of learning while doing, because I, as an example, have investments on 4 different continents, but I have 0 euros. And yet that is where the world is going for the next 10 years if you want to be investing in one of the best currencies. And that's what I mean by learning while doing. And so, you know, 10, 20, or 70, are you going to rely on your degrees as either an excuse or to bolster you? Are you going to rely on other people, which are very important? Or are you just going to get on and do it and learn? And, you know, for me, with the getting on and doing it part, you can try and do it all on your own, or you can follow the laws of nature. You can, you know, a bird flying in the flock can fly 70% further than a bird flying on its own. And, you know, classic example of that is just last night, I heard I need to be in euros. This morning, I got hold of someone and I've got a perler of a deal with people far more qualified than me to be able to invest in Europe. And you know, I want to be able to offer that to investors so that we can go together using the laws of nature. And as Deepak Chakra says, you try to do something on your own, you've got a less than 50% chance of succeeding. If you do it with a partner, you know, a husband, a wife, a business partner, you've got a 60% chance of succeeding. But if you do it with a like-minded community, you've got a higher than 70% chance of succeeding. That's my invitation to you. So 10, 20, or 70, what's your success strategy? Enjoyed this little weekly wealth insight. Subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. You know, we're all in lockdown. We're all feeling under the weather. We need a bit of inspiration. We need a bit of knowledge. And maybe importantly, we need some direction on how we can take control of our lives going into the next decade. 10, 20, or 70. Which one are you going to focus on? Cheers.